What's going on? It is a Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. And man, what a Tuesday it is going to be here on the show. Glad to have you guys with us. I'm Chris Yao, and I'm joined by Maurice Patton. What's up, Mo?
What's up? What's up? Just trying to stay warm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing the hoodie today. I've been
You
outside.
manifesting warm didn't work so well yesterday, did it?
Well, yesterday it worked out fine. I actually have a picture of me. I went outside to get a bowl of snow for snow cream and wore my Bucky shirt. And Sarah was like, "I got to get a picture of you in this thing."
Good for her. Good for her. Good for her. She recognizes a photo op when she sees one, huh?
Yeah. So we got the picture of me in the I guess tropical themed shirt, put it that way. So it was an interesting day, and good snow cream, so that's always good. And this morning I tried to build a snowman, but I didn't have any gloves, so that lasted about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Too cold.
Yeah.
So
I can see how that could be the case.
No, thank you. No, we're not doing that anymore. But yeah. So anyway, got a lot of fun stuff done this morning. Got a lot of work done as well. We've got a great show lined up and looking forward to talking about a lot of topics. We got a lot to get to today. So, and we've got some great guests set to join us. Mike Herndon is going to join us, talk a little bit of Titans. He covers the Titans, as well as Chip Walters, who joins us each and every Tuesday, and he'll update us about what's going on in the world of Middle Tennessee State. Perhaps, I know he doesn't have any more information than we do, I don't think, on when we may or may not see Conference USA football schedules. It's my folks down here from Jacksonville are asking every day, "Hey, when we get them schedules?" Conference USA just ignores them. So
what's your hurry, bro?
I guess wanting to get, decide, what trips out west are we going to have this year? When is that trip to El Paso going to happen? Yeah, we need to get going. It's January. Got to get your time off in. Got to put it in the schedule.
And I guess maybe got to get that income tax return money allocated, huh?
That's right. Because, you get a little money back and put it towards going on road trips with the Gamecocks or the Blue Raiders or whatever Conference USA team affiliation you may have. So anyway, they haven't put it out yet. So we'll talk to Chip about a lot of things. So looking forward to it. And it's also Top 5 Tuesday, and we will.
And I'm fired up for this one. This is going to
be a good one.
Yeah,
this is going to be good. We're going to look back at the 2023 college football season and draft our top 5 first-year transfers in 2023. So players who transferred before the 2023 season, and it was their first year in the program in 2023. Which players impacted their teams the most? So Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, not available.
They don't count, unfortunately.
Yeah, and they would certainly round out the first round pretty quickly. but
2 Heisman Trophy finalists. Go figure,
huh? So we're going to focus on first year transfers and who made the biggest impact in year one. That's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure to stick around to the end of the show for that. Plenty more to get to, and we're going to do that. But right now, I need to get you, yesterday's results and today's schedule.
Creative schedule.
I'll say I didn't even include any high school basketball in this rundown because my assumption is nobody's playing. If somebody is playing,
let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Exactly. So anyway, yesterday's results, today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Monday night results. Ironically, we start on the ice as the Nashville Predators fell 4-1 at Vegas. Also, in the association, the Grizzlies pick up a 116-107 victory over Golden State that left the Warriors frustrated,
I bet.
say the least. Um, NFL Super Wild Card Weekend wrapped up last night. Buffalo defeats visiting Pittsburgh 31-17. Tampa Bay defeats visiting Philadelphia 32-9. And the state of Pennsylvania is just as frustrated as Golden State. So, yeah.
Tough day for the state of
For
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania football. Yeah, absolutely.
Tonight's schedule: men's basketball. Florida's at Tennessee at 4:00 on ESPN2, and
4
there may or
o'clock?
there may or may not be anybody in the in the
goodness.
stands.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a doubleheader on ESPN2. Florida, Tennessee to start at 6:00 at Syracuse and Pittsburgh. At 5:00 on CBS Sports Network. Triple header tonight on CBS Sports Network, and we'll start it with Buckyball as they head to Western Carolina, Samford and the Bulldogs.
That's Bucky, Bucky, not Bucce.
-EE. Yeah,
Yes,
that's right. Missouri's in Alabama on SEC Network at 6, followed by Texas A&M at Arkansas at 8, and also at 8 on ESPN is Kansas and Oklahoma. And
hey, before you go any further, let me just tell you, your autocorrect had Syracuse at Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's funny. Well, it that would make sense since we had Tony on yesterday.
Exactly.
And then NBA action tonight at 6:30 on TNT. It's the Nuggets and the 76ers. And following that will be the Thunder of Oklahoma City. They're in LA to take on the Clippers at 9, both of those on TNT. And that is your rundown. Top story is brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia, making sure you are fed and happy if you can get there for their delicious daily deli lunch specials, as well as fresh hand-cut meats, produce, and more, all cost plus 10 at the register. That's Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia. Vandy Chris on YouTube here saying that Kane Womack leaving a head coaching position to take a defensive coordinator's job is, ellipses, weird. And it is, in fact, weird. And our top story is that Kalen DeBoer is flexing the State University's muscle, man, because taking South Alabama's bowl-winning head coach and making him a defensive coordinator in the Southeastern Conference, at least, is... Well, it kind of goes back to what we talked about with Florida A&M.
Exactly, it does. It's very similar. At least he's going to take a DC job, though, and not a position job.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the difference in Division I FBS versus FCS HBCU.
Yeah, to some degree. But there's a lot of similarities, like you said, in that Kane Womack and Kalen DeBoer were both on the staff at Indiana. So they've got some history together, and it almost seems like this was bubbling up as soon as DeBoer took that spot down there. But, you know, if you're South Alabama, you'd like to think you could keep your guy relative to a coordinator position.
He's getting paid more in Alabama. And here's the thing. This is a perfect setup for Kane Womack, right? Because if he's successful as a defensive coordinator at Alabama, he gets a Power 5 head coaching job. He was successful at a G5, successful as a coordinator in the SEC. His next job is a big one, right? Yeah. If he's not successful as a defensive coordinator, well, you just go back to the G5.
Yeah.
This is a win-win-win for him.
And it's a very, again, it's very similar to the Willie Simmons situation, because if Duke is successful,
is the internet me or him, Justin?
Am I back?
He's back.
Am I back?
You
Yeah,
are.
sorry about that. Uh, there's another rung involved probably for Simmons, but still, I mean, you can see it, but I mean, if you're South Alabama, I can see why you might be a little bothered by that.
So, and listen, these are rumors. You know how the state of Alabama is. There are rumors out there that Womack and some of the Mobile area high school coaches didn't really get along. He was kind of looking to get out anyway,
Hmm.
and this
Well,
was just an easy
this is one
move.
heck of a soft landing spot if that's the case.
Right. But South Alabama did, of course, put out a statement that they appreciated, of course, all that he had done for the program. Again, they
Well,
won.
why would you not?
Yeah, they won the bowl game. They won their
Yeah,
bowl
I
game
mean,
this year, and had a successful season. Went to Oklahoma State, beat a team that played in the Big 12 championship.
he's
I
been
mean,
there what 2 years?
yeah. So
Well, didn't they go out to UCLA his first year and
and
either
nearly,
beat them or come really close?
yeah,
So
nearly pulled the upset.
I
So
mean, you can't be anything but happy with the job that Kane Womack has done at South Alabama, and you know, grab him some boxes and wish him well.
yeah, that's and that's only a small part of the Nick Saban fallout because we thought the coaching carousel was over. I mean, I think I still think that obviously Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have another
Cycle.
round in them. Yeah, there's another cycle coming,
Mhm.
depending on what happens with
I
Harbaugh and
don't know that
Michigan.
I don't know that you're going to see the dominoes fall in head coaching roles should Harbaugh leave Michigan that you've seen here. And another one fell, I guess, last night, huh?
Well, so currently the two openings are San Jose State and now South Alabama. Those are the two FBS college football head coach openings. That is because San Jose State, all one word there.
Mm,
Uh, their head coach Brent Brennan is headed to Arizona to replace Jed Fish, who we talked about yesterday. And basically, you never know what's going to happen there. I think you're right. I think if I'm Michigan, I just hire what was the offensive coordinator?
Sharon
Yeah,
Moore.
Moore. He's the guy.
Well, you know, Vandy Chris 24 would disagree with you.
Well, Chris, I think it's an interesting thought process that PJ Fleck going to Michigan, but I don't think Fleck has been as successful as he needs to be to take over the Michigan program.
Coming from Minnesota.
Yeah. I know it's Minnesota and they know it's Minnesota,
Uh huh.
but it's the Big Ten West and you weren't
Minnesota
really
Minnesota
competitive.
hasn't Minnesota hasn't scared Michigan sufficiently for them to hire
They haven't
Minnesota's
scared
coach, I don't
Iowa,
think.
much less Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah. Um
So I think that's a problem.
but I have no idea what San Jose State does to replace
Uh,
Brennan who went 34 and 48. But Chris, what does South Alabama do?
I'll be really interested in this job. I think South Alabama is a really it's a unique place in that the Sun Belt feels like it is working toward being the biggest group of five or most competitive group of five conference. So I think they feel like they can go get somebody who's been successful at either the FCS level, like a Chris Hatcher, maybe from Samford, or you know, maybe they hire within the staff because obviously his staff isn't going with him. It's just him.
If Chris Kane Womack didn't necessarily get along with high school coaches in the Mobile area, what if you hire Mobile Williamson graduate and Mobile High School legend T. Martin?
It'd be an interesting it's a really interesting thought process. If T wanted it, I think he could get it. I also think there's a high school coach down there who's been successful at that level to some degree. Well, he's been successful in the college ranks. He's not been successful in the Sun Belt per se, and that is Will Healy.
He's coaching high schools down there now
at Gulf Shores.
Is he head coach? No,
he is the head coach of the Gulf Shores Dolphins.
Really?
And
I did
just
not
signed
know that.
Yeah, just signed a pretty big deal. Or Phillip Rivers, who is also down there. So I don't know. There are options. They've got plenty of names. I don't think Clark Lee is one of them, though, Chris. There are plenty of names who could take that job, big names that they could hire. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see.
How long has Will Healy been at Gulf Shores?
3 years, maybe?
No, Mark Hudspeth is at Gulf Shores.
That's the
former Austin Peay coach.
That's who I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's who I meant, Mark Hudspeth.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, we're on the same page.
The Austin Peay coaching tree got mixed up there for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yes. I mean, Huddy's been successful.
He has. He's also had some off-field issues apparently.
He has. He's had some issues.
So yeah.
But I mean, you're kind of tucked away down there. He's done a good job kind of laying low.
He may not want to come in off the beach, dude. I mean, Mobile's a little inland from Gulf Shores.
It is. It is. It's not quite as close to, the white sandy beaches.
Mm-hmm.
But it's college football. And it's a $500,000 a year job. So I will be interested in that move just because obviously it's going to involve someone we've heard of.
Yeah, it's going to be somebody.
Where San Jose State, not so much. Yeah, I don't think San Jose State's going to be in that same boat. So, I really am intrigued by the Saban effect here from Front Office Sports, saying that more than $100 million in contracts, extensions, and buyouts have happened because of the
that's funny
Saban retirement. $12 million for DeBoer from Alabama to Washington. DeBoer is getting $11 million a year. Arizona was paid $5.5 for Jed Fish from Washington.
Now here's a question. Is that Arizona was paid or Arizona will be paid? Because given their financial situation, there's a big difference. They want their money now.
Yeah, they're over there saying, my assumption is that Alabama just paid Washington $12 million, and then they took 5.5 of that and sent it down south. That's an easy way to do it, right? You still come out 6.5 ahead.
or just tell Alabama, send us 6.5, send Arizona 5.5, and we'll call it good.
We'll be happy to do that. Fish is getting a $54 million.
If you don't see it, you don't miss it. If you're Washington,
That's right. We didn't even see it. It's like FICA or something. Take it right out of the check.
There you go.
It's the deduction. Oh, and then Arizona paid San Jose State $1 million for Brennan's buyout, and Norvell and Sarkisian got $3 to $4 million raises out of this because, of course, Jimmy Sexton going Jimmy Sexton.
And we don't even know if Norvell was in the mix.
No, we have no idea. I don't think he was. Because look, I don't think Norvell was. If Norvell was in the mix and they didn't hire him, they're crazy.
Who's crazy?
Alabama.
So you feel like Norvell is a better choice than Kalen DeBoer?
I think he's a more logical choice. I think he fits the Saban Alabama mindset more than Kalen DeBoer does. He coaches a similar way. You know, he's built Florida State into a power again using a Southern recipe. You know, you don't bring in somebody completely out of the mix if you have Mike Norvell available.
Yeah. And DeBoer is, for Alabama, completely out of the mix.
Yes, Chris, that is correct. Arizona does actually end up with just $4.5 million because they sent $1 million to San Jose State. But they're my guess is they're paying Brennan a little bit less than maybe they were paying. I haven't seen his contract, but I'm curious
I believe.
If they're just going to pay him $1 million.
I think so.
Oof. That's what we said yesterday, though. They were going to have to get somebody willing to do it on the cheap. And I'm not sure. I guess, he was a finalist when they hired Jed Fish. This guy was a finalist for the job. Mm-hmm. So he must have been number 2. One of those we'll keep your resume on file situations. And they actually did.
Yeah, and they really did. Yeah.
Just goes to show sometimes people actually do keep your resume on file. Yeah. So anyway. What a situation this has become, the college football coaching tracker. And, Michigan and Harbaugh, they're saying the conversations and negotiations are stalling because Harbaugh wants a clause in the contract that he can't be fired depending on the outcome or based on the outcome of NCAA investigations. Like, okay, I'll sign this, but you can't fire me for cause if this happens.
I don't know that he's going to get that. And I don't know that he's going to get that. And I think he might know that.
I'm not entirely certain it's not a Jim Harbaugh giving his alma mater an out. Because he knows he's going to the NFL. And people are going to say, you should have paid him whatever he wanted. Well,
we couldn't give him that.
We couldn't give him that because what happens if this, and then we have to pay the entire buyout, even though we fired him for cause.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And this feels like giving them an out.
That's
so. Anyway, let's take a break. Mike Herndon is standing by, and we will get to him and talk a little Titans on the other side of this break on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We're back to the Lee Company studio in a moment. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org, or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
We are back here live from the Lee Company studios, which is not typical of this show, but
Studios
nothing's
plural, you mean?
Yeah, nothing is typical when there's 6 to 7 inches of snow outside. And so just get over it. We're going to be coming to you live from the Lee Company studios for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
We may get out Friday. We may not. We'll let you know. But no, this is Main Street Sports Today. And we are presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We are talking a little added Titans today with Mike Herndon, who joins us now on Main Street Sports Today. Mike, what's up, man?
Not much. Trying to stay warm anyways.
You're outside.
I am outside, so I am so preschool is closed today. So if you hear my little one in the background, he's following me around today.
Yep.
So I'm trying to get a little bit of quiet by standing outside at the moment.
Well, we will try not to keep you out there too long because I know it's miserable, but appreciate you taking some time.
Sure.
The events of the last week, as you look back at them now, how much of a surprise is it that we are where we are?
I still think it's a pretty big surprise. I mean, as much as Vrabel struggled and the team struggled over the last 2 years, I don't know. I just always kind of felt like, the ownership made it clear last year that they believed it was a roster issue when they fired John Robinson. And then, I didn't feel like the roster got a lot better this offseason. And so here we are, another season that looks a lot like the end of last year. And I don't know. I guess I wasn't that surprised. And I kind of figured Vrabel would get one more shot with, a better roster, with them being able to have some money to spend this offseason and obviously a good draft pick. And he would get one more year to try to kind of right the ship.
Yeah, that being said, a lot of folks want to think that there's issues between him and Rand. Did you get that impression, or is this more Amy Adams Strunk driven?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like things maybe weren't wonderful behind the scenes between those two. But obviously, at the end of the day, they could have been, best friends. And if Amy Adams Strunk was not seeing eye to eye with Vrabel, then I think, it's ultimately her call. And from everything that's been reported, it certainly sounds like that relationship was the one that eventually led to his departure, the deterioration of the relationship between him and ownership, not him and Carthon.
Daddy, I want you.
Yeah. Did you have anything?
My internet is struggling, so
Oh, okay.
I'm trying
Okay.
to
All
make
right.
sure
I'll
that
let
that
you.
I am
Yeah.
here before I try
I'll
to
let you.
before I try to ask any questions.
Okay. I've been there, done that. Mike, of the names that we've heard to this point that the Titans have asked to talk to, and the names that they, have talked to this point, is there anybody that necessarily jumps out at you as, yeah, I like this, or no, I don't?
Yeah, I mean, and I normally do believe in the idea that, hey, you can win still in the modern NFL with a defensive head coach or with a CEO style head coach. But with the caveat that, like, if you were going to do that, why not just stick with Mike Vrabel, who had won in that kind of setup here in recent seasons, when given a decent roster. So to me, if they're going to make that move and move away from Vrabel, to me, I think you got to go on the offensive side of the ball. There's always the advantage of having that offensive coordinator or the head guy of your offense uh, locked in as the head coach to where nobody's going to poach him away after a good season. So having stability on that side of the ball, I think, is important. And for that reason, I would put at the top of my list, Ben Johnson from Detroit, Bobby Slowick from the Texans, and then Brian Callahan from the Bengals. Those are kind of my top three that I have circled at the top there. And I think all three of them are, bright, young offensive minds. All three of them would be able to come in and give you a play caller at the top. Now Callahan, to be fair, has not called plays at the NFL level before, but I don't think that would be an issue. That's simply because he's worked under Zach Taylor for the last 5 years, I believe, now in Cincy. But he's a huge part of that offense, and I don't think that would be an issue for him to call plays if he wanted to. But even if he doesn't call plays, he's still the head of the offense, and being able to keep that stability, I think, would be critical. But those are the top three kind of circled at the top of my list right now.
Slowick and Johnson obviously still involved in the postseason. Is that a plus that they are in the postseason, or a minus that they can't be talked to yet?
Yeah, it's kind of a give and take. I think it's certainly impressive, like what Bobby Slowick did, and all, the first half, obviously, from Ben Johnson as well. Pretty incredible in advancing in the first round. Obviously, that puts a little bit of a delay in being able to have advanced talks with those guys, but to me, if that you're interested in those guys, I don't think waiting another week or 2 weeks or whatever it needs to be for the right person is going to be too bad, because we haven't started to really see the seats starting to, the musical chairs hasn't really started just yet as far as seats filling up and things like that. And frankly, there may still be some dominoes that need to fall first, and guys like Bill Belichick, guys like Jim Harbaugh sitting out there for some of these openings that may be more attractive, like the Chargers or potentially Washington with the high draft pick and new ownership and all that.
What, Mike, does the possibility of Pittsburgh being available due to this coaching search cycle?
Come out. What was that? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I said, what does the possibility of Pittsburgh being open do for this cycle? Either the Steelers hiring or Mike Tomlin potentially being available.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, to me, like, and I know Mike Tomlin has a lot of similarities with Vrabel in that they come from the defensive side of the ball. They're kind of CEO leaders of men type. But if I was Amy Adams Strunk, I'd crawl over broken glass to hire Mike Tomlin if he's made available. I mean, the guy has done nothing but win at a consistent and high level over the course of his career. And to me, for my money, he's easily a top 5 NFL head coach. And to me, if you could get that guy in the building, you do it, and then you figure out who's going to call plays from there. But yeah, absolutely, I'd be interested in Tomlin if he's out there.
Do you feel like, Mike, that the timing is probably a positive at this point, in that, having to wait on some of these guys who are still out there playing may give you some more direction on where the rest of the league is going, and kind of, there may be some other people available by the time that you're looking to hire.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
I
Mike
definitely don't.
Tomlin.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy, some of the names that are out there. I mean, for this cycle, Belichick, potentially Tomlin, obviously Harbaugh. There are some major coaches that have hit the market, and a lot of them. I mean, even Vrabel hitting the market, to me, I think was a bit of a surprise nationally, and he's a big name that's going to be out there. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was coach of the year 2 years ago, so. Yeah, I think it's an interesting time to be trying to hire a head coach, and there's a lot of things being shaken up kind of at the top of the sport. I mean, even Pete Carroll being out there. I think he's a little too old for this opening, but the fact that he's available is crazy.
You just mentioned, Mike Vrabel's available. I've not seen anybody say they've interviewed him.
Yeah, he really has not been connected to anything yet, which is a bit surprising. I think everybody had him kind of penciled in for New England, and obviously it seems most people did not know that Gerard Mayo's contract was already kind of set for that. And I don't know if Vrabel knew that or who all knew that, but obviously that kind of already fell against him. So yeah, I don't know where he lands at this point. It'd be very interesting to see kind of how that shakes out.
Mike Herndon, host of the podcast Football and Other F Words, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I guess, Mike, like you said, this is really a case of waiting to see who else is going to be available, if anybody else. And this process isn't going to be necessarily quick for that reason. Is that fair to say?
I think so, and I don't think the Titans need to rush it. I mean, with the several of the top candidates, either not being available at the moment or needing to wait to interview them, I don't see any. There's no move that they need to make, in the next 2 weeks that's pressing. So to me, like, take your time, make sure you get the right guy. I mean, this is obviously a massive hire for Amy Adams-Strunk and ownership, as well as Rand Carthon, because you may not get another shot if you're Carthon, and if you're ownership, you've got a stadium that you're going to need to start selling PSLs for. So you need to put a winning product and an exciting product on the field sooner than later.
Yeah, and as far as Rand is concerned, I mean, obviously, he is going to be very involved in this hire, if not, making 90% of the decision here. What is he looking for in a partner?
To me, it is that partnership, collaboration. We heard that word a million times last offseason, and obviously that just did not happen with Vrabel at the level that both Amy Adams-Strunk and Carthon hoped. So I think that's going to be what you're looking for is a collaborator, somebody who's willing to work and build a shared vision, and just someone who frankly fits the vision that Carthon has a little bit better than what Vrabel did. So, whether that's somebody who is an offensive coach exclusively, I don't know, but I think it'll be somebody who's a little bit more maybe modern in their view of the game, as far as, not necessarily the 3 yards in a cloud of dust, old school approach that Vrabel brought to the table for most of his tenure here.
Mike, we'll let you get back inside and warm up.
I appreciate that. I thank you guys for having me on, and I always enjoy talking some ball.
Thanks,
Usually in
we
better
appreciate
weather.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll catch up with you again when it's a little warmer.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks.
When it's a little warmer, it could be like, next
May.
week. It
Well,
won't
too.
take much to be much warmer than today.
Well, that is true. That's true.
It was
That's relative.
9 degrees this morning. 9 degrees.
I could have done without knowing that.
I mean, it was insane. So yeah, I'm not here to deal with that.
Hmm.
There's no doubt. But I found it interesting that one that Mike Vrabel hasn't interviewed or nobody said they've interviewed him. I mean, we know Vrabel could be like, "Hey, I'll interview, but you can't tell nobody." He's that kind of guy, you know? And so I don't know. It feels really weird that Mike Vrabel is not a candidate for some of these
Well,
places.
it might be Mike Vrabel might be kind of like Antonio Pierce earlier in the year with Vegas. My resume is on the grass. I mean, I was a little shocked to hear that the Falcons interviewed Belichick. I mean, what does an interview with Bill Belichick go like? Does he walk in with his 6 rings on, or what? I mean, how does that go?
How do you hire the guy who is the orchestrator of the butt
Of
of
one
your
of the
biggest
of
joke?
one of the lowest points in your franchise's history.
I don't know how you do it. Although Matt Ryan was on one of those, football shows and basically said he'd come out of retirement to go play for Belly. So I mean,
Hey, as long as he doesn't hire Kyle Shanahan as his OC, I guess it's all good, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that Bill Belichick being an option for anybody is very interesting.
It is interesting from the standpoint that how much more has he got?
Yeah, I mean, how long can he give you? And he wants to be GM. He wants to have all the control. So are you firing your GM to get him? I don't know. I don't know
There's a
how it
lot.
works.
There's a lot that comes along with hiring Bill Belichick, I think, and I don't know how you discount the lack of success without TB12 when you consider him.
So I think this is one of the most incredible case studies in the history of the National Football League. Because Belichick with the Browns
Not great.
was not good. Belichick post Tom Brady in New England has been
Not great.
not great.
Belichick with the Patriots pre Tom Brady. Not great.
And Brady won a Super Bowl somewhere else.
And Belichick hasn't sniffed.
So,
So who are you hiring? What are you hiring?
are you hiring, the Browns Bill Belichick? Here's
Are you truly hiring one of the greatest football coaches in the history of the National Football League?
Now, I will say this. I think part of the reason, and I'm not saying that Belichick is not a great coach, but part of the reason that the Patriots were successful for as long as they were is because Tom Brady was willing to forego his payment and his bank account in favor of rings. He allowed the team to build a championship caliber football team by not being overpaid. And so do you have, and they did that. I mean, Bill Belichick did that. And by having the most talented roster in the NFL, more times than not, you're going to win. Atlanta doesn't have any of that. I mean, none of it.
Getting to that isn't going to be real easy.
Right. And does Bill Belichick have, and do Atlanta fans have the patience to deal with it? No, they don't. That's the answer. The answer is no. So I think that's one of the, I think Atlanta is one of the most intriguing hires. I think Washington with the new ownership group, high draft pick, all of the things that go into that, I think that is an interesting job. I think Mike Vrabel, as I said before, I said this earlier this week or either yesterday or late last week, I think Mike Vrabel is a candidate and very well could be the next head coach of the Commanders. I really do.
It'd be a heck of a get for him if he is, I think.
Well, they said they wanted a guy who is less offense and defense, more CEO. And that's what Mike Vrabel wants to do. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't know, but
think on this just a second. If Tomlin is out in Pittsburgh, is Vrabel a fit there?
Mike Vrabel would be the quintessential Pittsburgh Steeler head football coach. I don't think there is a more fitting job for Mike Vrabel than Pittsburgh. And I don't know that there's a more fitting coach for Pittsburgh than Mike Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be a perfect marriage.
If you're going to move on from Mike Tomlin, or if Mike Tomlin's going to move on from you.
Yeah, he may be tired of it. He walked out of that press conference angry. You know,
well, somebody started a question, or I don't know how you can say they were starting a question when the phrase was, "You've got one more year left on your contract."
Yeah.
Okay, where are you going with this? And after I just lost a playoff game.
And anyway, we'll get into that playoff game later. We don't have time for that right now. But yeah, he walked off because that's a dumb question. I mean, I guess you feel like you got to ask it if you're not going to talk to him again, but if you're going to talk to him again, save it.
I mean, I hesitate to chastise members of the media for asking questions because sometimes you don't know when you're going to get another chance to ask them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you feel like you weren't going to get another chance to talk to him, then sure, go ahead. Now, he didn't answer it.
Yeah, you still didn't get what you were looking for, but I mean, closed mouth don't get fed either. So, I mean,
right. Yeah. That is a weird situation, but I don't necessarily blame either of them for their actions.
Right. I don't necessarily blame the journalist for asking, and I certainly don't blame Tomlin for walking out. Yeah.
So, all right, let's take a break. When we come back, college baseball and softball, D1baseball.com, D1softball.com, they have released their preseason top 25 rankings. We'll talk about them on the other side of the break. Stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA. With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back into this Top 5 Tuesday. Top 5 portal transfers of 2023 season. First year transfers in college football. We'll draft our top 5 a little bit later. Hello, Carlos in Memphis. Yes, tighten up indeed. We'll see how that goes.
Tighten up and warm up.
We've got Terry McCormick here at the top of the hour. He'll talk a little more Titans with us as well. But before we get into that, I don't know if Andy Chris is still here, but this would be right down his alley because he's a big baseball guy. And
if you're a Vanderbilt fan, you're certainly looking for some positive to talk about in the world of sports. So here it is.
Well, here it is indeed. D1 baseball preseason rankings and D1 softball preseason rankings. Justin, there is a slide available. And if you'll make that available to us, we will be able to see said rankings. Wake Forest atop the baseball rankings. SEC comes in with 6 of the top 10. Florida at 2, Arkansas at 3, LSU at 4, Vanderbilt at 6, Texas A&M at 8, Tennessee at 9. Now, they don't have but 2 others in the top 25, Alabama and South Carolina at 19 and 25, respectively.
Well, when you've got 6 in the top 10, I mean, how many more would you have expected to see?
Well, we got 9 non-softball teams in, only 8 baseball. Oh, well. So we're down 1 on the small ball side. But, you know,
I'm interested to see Wake Forest in particular as they try to follow up on their success from last year, and with Tennessee transfer Chase Burns out of Station Camp over there now.
I think Wake Forest certainly gives back-to-back vibes for sure. Now, of course, you say that, and going post to wire in baseball is almost impossible. It's been done, but it's almost impossible. In the Southeastern Conference, particularly, though, it's kind of up for the taking, right? It's up for grabs, as it is every year. Mm-hmm. But, Tennessee had kind of been the class of the SEC the last couple of years. Now, sitting at 5th, right? No, 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 6th of the 6 teams in the top 10. I mean, that's...
I don't know that I'm going to ding a team for being ranked 6th in the SEC.
Well, I mean, you can't, because obviously you're still a top 10 team in the country, according to D1Baseball.com. But this team is going to be a little different. This team will not be, carried by its pitching staff necessarily with you go into the season knowing that this pitching staff is going to be one of the best in the country, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then also a little different from 2 years ago when they hit the most home runs in college baseball history. It just kind of feels like this is going to be more of a middle ground between the two of them, which may make them more successful in the end.
Yeah, they don't appear to be overly pitching heavy or offense heavy. Maybe they're a little bit more balanced. Maybe balance is a good thing.
And maybe balance is a good thing. So I don't know. But, and then you've got Vanderbilt baseball sitting out here, feeling like they are capable of continuing their lengthy run.
Yeah, and I think the thing about Vanderbilt is it's not necessarily going to be a lot of names that you're familiar with, but it's sort of like we say about the Braves. In Tim Corbin we trust. So
yeah, I think that's probably as smart a thing that you can do or say, right? To me, it just feels like until he gives you a reason not to trust him, you trust him. And so, yeah, I completely agree with that. On the softball side, Tennessee ranked third.
On the softball side, where Vanderbilt does not participate, by the way. I want to say that again.
Yeah, no.
The volleyball program, do they debut this fall or next fall?
I think it's in 2024.
Okay. But yeah.
But Tennessee tops all Southeastern Conference teams at number 3, including future Southeastern Conference teams. They're number 2, with Oklahoma, of course, at number 1.
Yeah, of course.
But, one team I see in these rankings that I'm not used to seeing is Nebraska. Just goes to show that pitching is everything. And Jordy Ball being in Nebraska.
And not in Oklahoma?
And not in Oklahoma, pretty big deal.
Well, it doesn't seem to have impacted Oklahoma a great deal, but it certainly lifted Nebraska. So
Oklahoma is, reload. They don't rebuild. And that's a program that has earned every bit of the success they've had, much to my dismay. But I understand, you gotta respect greatness when you're watching it.
Now let me ask you something, Chris. Do you feel like it's the Jordy Ball effect, or do you feel like it's the Marin Angus Coombs effect?
Yeah, Marin probably has a little bit to do with that. She's helped put some players in that program recently as well. I'm a little shocked. How about Clemson and Duke, by the way? 7 and 8, third year programs?
They're not third year, but they are
fourth year.
They are really neophytes.
Yeah,
relative to the rest of this list.
Yeah.
And
both in the top
Clemson's
10.
done it, and Clemson's done it with some mid-state talent.
Yeah, Clemson has been successful, much due in part to some folks from right here in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, Clemson softball, that may be the only program on that campus that I would be inclined to root for.
No doubt. I love looking at this though, because you see teams like Louisiana, San Diego State. Yeah. You don't see group of 5 teams. And I say that just because that's what we have. It's easily, labeled, but you don't see teams like that in that city, very often in sports. So, kind of like baseball over here, you've got East Carolina at 11,
Here's the
Santa
thing, though.
Barbara.
East Carolina has
Yeah, they're
done
a
it for
baseball.
so long, man.
Yeah.
And obviously, Coastal Carolina is a former national champion. So
Santa Barbara is in there. I mean, that's pretty cool. And that's
Northeastern.
yeah, that's one of the cool things about baseball and softball is you get a little new blood sometimes. So,
And you get
Anyway.
a little blood from off the beaten path a little bit.
yeah, gotta love it. Gotta love it. So, looking forward to baseball and softball season coming up here soon. It's going to be really interesting here in Tennessee, on both diamonds. So, let's take a break. Terry's awaiting. We will get to him right after this on Main Street Sports Today. Y'all stick around.
He shoots and he scores!
Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic. Welcome back in. Time now to talk with Terry McCormick and on your Daily Titans update. What's up, Terry?
It is the Daily Titans update brought to you as always by Zen Sports. While we're kind of in the coaching search holding pattern here, waiting for interviews to be completed and guys to start doing actual in-person interviews after this week, let's talk a little bit about the roster. And let's start with the offense, which obviously that's the area that has the most need. And started looking through the roster itself, and obviously there'll be some guys back from the 2023 team. But in terms of players you can build around that you can go ahead and pencil in as starters that can be key contributors next season, I count 4.5. And here are my 4.5. All right. Obviously, you're going to build around Will Levis at quarterback. So he's one. You've got what looks like a real gem of a running back in Tajay Spears. That's 2. And even though he tailed off badly at the end of the year, he is a first-round pick, and you presume some of that was because of the players he had around him, and you're going to try and improve that situation in the draft and free agency. Peter Skoronski would be 3 for me. And then number 4, obviously, even though he's long in the tooth, still very productive, DeAndre Hopkins. Now, here's the half. I think Chigakonkwo still figures greatly into this team's equation. But what I would like to see them do is for him to be tight end number 2 as opposed to the tight end number 1 role that he played this year. I'd like to see a more dynamic dual threat type of player like we see on a lot of these playoff teams, like a Sam Laporta, George Kittle, name the guy you want to name as one of those tight ends with Chigakonkwo as the nice complement. Now, that's not to say that Chig can't be eventually a number 1 tight end, but I think with the step, he didn't take forward the step that everybody hoped he would take this year. So I'm going to count him as a half. Do you guys have anybody else among the offensive roster that you would count as a guy you can go forward with and count on?
I wouldn't necessarily, Terry, but I want to ask you about your 4.5, particularly one Okonkwo, just because, you know, when you compare him to the Kittles and some of those other guys, he's going to come up short, but a lot of other folks are going to come up short in that comparison as well. Kittles aren't growing on trees. I think he's
They are in
growing.
Iowa, actually.
It does seem like they are, doesn't it? I won't disagree with you there, but I don't know that he's ever going to be well-rounded enough. I don't ever know that he's going to be enough of a presence in the run game to be that. So maybe he is just a tight end too. Maybe that's just what he is. But Tajay Spears,
That's because
is
you
he?
guys have never seen me. You guys have never seen me play Madden with Chico Conquo. He's a superstar on Madden with me. He's my
Does
favorite
he
player.
catch 14 passes for
I
130
swear,
yards or something crazy like that?
all the time, every game. Dude had 1,200 yards receiving last year.
Okay, we have our next Titans offensive coordinator right here.
Anyway, no comment.
Anyway,
Is Tajay Spears an every down? Is he a between the tackles running back?
I don't think so, but I think you're going to try and get away from that somewhat. I think, you need a complimentary back. Maybe that guy's already on the roster. Maybe it's Hassan Haskins now that his legal troubles are behind him and his injuries are behind him. Maybe it's Julius Chestnut once his injuries are behind him. But as we've seen with other franchises, you can find running backs in late rounds. You can find running backs that are undrafted. And of course, when a new guy comes in and takes the helm as the head coach, he might still reach out to Derrick Henry and say, want to finish up here. And if Henry doesn't have the opportunity, and those opportunities for the type of back that Derrick Henry is would seem to be drying up around the league. There are a few places where he could still, I'm not saying Derrick Henry can't still play at a high level because he showed us in the season finale that he absolutely can. I'm just saying that more and more teams are trending away from that style. So as opposed to 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 teams might have wanted Derrick Henry. 5 teams might want Derrick Henry now. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely fair. It's a style thing as much as anything else. So yeah, I'd agree.
could be 6 depending on where Mike Vrabel ends up.
This is true.
but
But
anyway,
anyway, the point is, yes, they do need another running back to complement Tajay Spears. And I think Titans fans would love it if it was Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry, there's a part of Derrick Henry that probably wants to finish here, but I think there's also a part of Derrick Henry that wants an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. And I certainly, barring Will Levis becoming C.J. Stroud under Bobby Slowick or something like that, I don't know that the Titans are going to be in the playoffs in 2024.
Terry, I'm going to throw this name out at you. I know it's going to make a lot of Titans fans mad, but I think Dylan Radins is a capable right guard.
I won't completely disagree. I just think here's what I say about when people ask about Dylan Radins. And the same thing holds true for even a couple of guys who've been better than Dylan Radins, like Roger McCreary, like some of the other guys. If you had drafted those guys in the 4th or the 5th round playing guard or tackle, or right tackle or guard, or playing nickelback like Roger McCreary does, if you had drafted those guys in the 4th, 5th, 6th round like most good teams usually do, rather than spending premium draft capital on them in the 2nd round, most people would be absolutely ecstatic with guys like Roger McCreary and Dylan Radins. As it is, you spent that, but it's like when you go out and you're shopping for a car and you get infatuated with a car and you pay $2,000 too much for it. You know you did it, but you're stuck with it, and now you're gonna see it through.
And you can get good miles out of it, but you never feel like you got the right value.
And because of that, because of where you drafted those guys, then you created expectations for them based on where you took them that maybe they just aren't capable of living up to.
Absolutely. That is absolutely true. I mean, there was a time not too long ago when this team was drafting quality players in the middle and late rounds. Monty Hooker, 4th-round pick. David Long, 6th-round pick. But where that went, how that went out the window, I have no idea, because then they started drafting, misses in the early rounds, and then they started, taking guys that they overvalued in the second and third rounds. And when those don't pan out, it makes it doubly bad.
Well, J. Rob was pulling his best Stretch Armstrong in rounds 1 and 3 for a long time, stretching to reach. And he was taking those guys he would have taken in the 6th, in the 1st and 3rd, because he felt like they were going to be the next David Long or the next whomever. And he took them too early, and there you go.
Case in point was Monty Rice. I spoke to a scout that told me that Monty Rice had about a 6th or 7th round grade, and they took him in the 3rd round.
Right. And I think that's what happened. He reached trying to get guys, that he wanted to make sure they were there and not wait till the 5th or 6th round, which I understand to a degree, but you have to be sure, because those 6th round guys don't become David Longs every time.
No, you're absolutely right.
And so it's better that they be taken in the 6th than in the 3rd.
Correct.
Exactly. And the thing of it is, too, if somebody else takes them in the 5th, it keeps you from getting them in the 6th. That's fine. You can find another guy in the 6th round who can come in and play a role on special teams or whatever it may be.
And if they don't, then they were a 6th round draft pick.
Exactly.
They were a 3rd round draft pick.
And this is another pet peeve of mine that the Titans have been far too infatuated with for too long. And tell me, please, if you disagree or that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I think there are too many guys that they have every year on this roster, and they spend draft picks on them. Guys, and even undrafted guys like Anthony Kendall, guys like Colton Dow, their only role is special teams. There's always 7 or 8 of those guys, it feels like, on the roster that their job is special teams first. And I get that. When you're not a starter in the league, you have to play special teams. But when you're not a starter in the league, you're also one snap away from being a starter in the league. And if the only thing you can do well is cover a punt, you're not a valuable enough player to have a spot on my 53-man roster. I'd rather teach the backup linebacker that knows how to cover a running back out of the backfield how to tackle on a punt than to teach a guy who tackles on a punt how to cover a running back out of the backfield.
I don't disagree with you, Terry. I think you're spot on there. So tomorrow, let's talk about the defensive portion of the roster that's worth talking about.
All right, let's do it.
In the meantime, Terry, tell us about Zen Sports.
The new sports betting app exclusively in Tennessee the last few months, and I'm excited to share with you some big news. Now, when you sign up for a Zen Sports account, you will receive up to a $1,000 no danger first wager. That's right. When you place your first bet in Zen Sports with up to plus 500 odds, you can be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to a $1,000 maximum within 24 hours if the bet loses. And there's more good news. Zen Sports is rolling out its brand new VIP rewards program. This new VIP rewards program will allow top-tier customers to earn more bonuses, comps, and perks. The VIP program is by invite only, so if you feel your Zen Sports play qualifies for VIP consideration, please check out the program details and apply at zensports.com/VIP. No other sportsbook will offer you a premier sports betting experience with 24/7 top-tier customer support and faster withdrawals than Zen Sports. So what are you waiting for? Get going and download their app at zensports.com today. Zen Sports, betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and older and in Tennessee to bet.
smiles. These are the healthy smiles of real Delta Dental members. Folks with access to the nation's largest network of dentists and low-deductible plans with 100% preventive care coverage, all backed by over 65 years of expertise. Go online or give us a call to learn about affordable individual plans that meet your needs. 1-855-844-0445.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Witness more than 1,000 handcrafted Chinese lanterns featuring brand new designs, including towering mythical beasts, a life-sized Santa's workshop, and a 100-foot-long dragon. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton with you here on this Top 5 Tuesday. Looking forward to this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into Top 5, time to talk a little bit about Middle Tennessee State University. And to do that, we go to the Burv, the voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters.
How you doing, boys?
Cold.
Boy, it you know, the thing, the sun finally came out this afternoon over here.
And thank goodness.
Yes. I mean, and even though it's still 16 degrees, it still felt a little better. But I was out and about, now back in probably for the remainder of the day. So
good for you.
But yeah, I had to get out early this morning, and but we had right at 7 inches of snow here. I don't know what you had over in Murray County, but
about the same.
About the same. I got you.
There were some pictures posted on various social media platforms yesterday from around campus.
Yeah,
it was pretty.
Yeah, Matt Posey, who kind of heads up the social media effort for athletics, had one of his GAs.
Had one of his GAs,
right? And
not Matt.
And Matt puts in a ton of work, and he had in that GA really, I thought, took the bull by the horns. Had some cool photos over the baseball field from inside the dugout, looking out on the field, but all of the outdoor athletic facilities, he got some nice shots of softball, track and field, baseball, the football stadium. I've made the trip up the elevator a couple of times on snows after snows, just to see the pristine looking football field. Kind of the nerd in me, I guess, but campus is really pretty. When especially with the snow like this that was powdery and obviously sticking around for a few days.
Obviously. Chip,
that being said, while the one thing that it's may have an effect on, nothing has happened yet, but don't be surprised if Thursday night's women's game against UTEP is moved up a little earlier than the scheduled 6:30 time, but that will get out on the socials and also, of course, on GoBlueRaiders.com if and when that happens. But the little birdie is telling me that it is more likely than not that that'll happen.
Speaking of the Lady Raiders, the Conference USA undefeated Lady Raiders.
That's correct.
3-0 heading into that UTEP game following a big win out at Sam Houston on Saturday.
And Anastasia Boldreva had a weekend, and as of this afternoon was named the Ann Myers Drysdale National, one of the Ann Myers Drysdale National Players of the Week. they name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 each week, and one of the other names of that 5 just happens to be Caitlin Clark of Iowa.
Oof.
So
that's pretty good company.
Pretty good company right there. The others, Sarah Bajetti of Florida State, Ayoka Lee of Kansas State, and Honesty Scott Grayson of Auburn, along with Boldreva and Caitlin Clark. That's your 5 National Players of the Week, and that's put out by the U.S. Basketball Writers Association.
That's solid. 15-10 at Sam Houston. Don't know what she had at
32-12.
Okay.
That's National Player of the Week type numbers.
That's putting in work.
It is, and she really played. They had no answer for her there, and that was a game that ended up going into overtime, and Middle got the win, and the Sam Houston game on the women's side, Middle jumped out 12-5, I think, in the first or midway through the first quarter, and never really were threatened in that one, and they won by 30, and back home now, and they'll get a couple of games at home. UTEP has always been pretty good in Conference USA. New Mexico State, a bit of an unknown. I'm sure the coaching staff obviously is way more informed on them than I am, as they should be. But they've got a chance to, come out of the gate 4-0 and do it. Kermit Davis kind of introduced me to the +1 -1 system that he kind of went with, and that was, if you got a win on the road, you got a +1. If you got a loss at home, you got a -1. If you lost on the road or won at home, you didn't get anything. And so right now the Lady Raiders are +2 after 1 week of the season, and that's just kind of another little simple way to kind of keep up with the standings, and really it shows you what people do on the road, and at the end of the year see how that pays off.
It's not a bad place to be, +2. Chip, I don't know how much of that Sam Houston game you got to see. I saw a little bit of it before I had to leave the house Saturday evening. But one of the things that I noticed specifically in that game, post feeds. Middle does a fantastic job with that. Wheels, Jalen Gregory, everybody. The way they were getting the ball inside to Boldreva and the young lady that comes in behind her,
Yulia Grabovskaya.
There we go. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. We need to get that loaded up on a key, Chris, so we can just punch it and play that. But the way they get the ball inside, man, is uncanny.
Well, I mean, you look at who's throwing the passes. You've got, whether it's Jalen Gregory, whether it's Savannah Wheeler, who has been an all-conference player both here and at Marshall, or could be Courtney Whitson, could be Tamia Scott. But and that's, the thing is, you talk about post feeds. It's one thing throwing it to the post, but it's also it's an even bigger thing throwing it to a post player who is in a position to score, and that is, that's where the coaching, that's where being coachable and the learning process comes in, and experience along the way, and that's one thing they've got with all of those young ladies. Tamia Scott, the one who's really kind of come on the scene this year, but those other 3 that are throwing it in there, I mean, how many thousands of times, whether in practice or games, have they made that post feed, knowing where she is, knowing what her strengths are, knowing the scout and who is defending her and where are they strong, whether it's to her left or to her right, trying to get her in a good position to score.
And you mentioned Courtney Whitson. No shock that she was right in the middle of that 64-61 overtime win down at La Tech, hitting a couple of free throws late in regulation to force OT.
Yep, gritty as it gets. It's cliche, but coach on the floor, just like that. And I think Kyle Turnham's already offered her a job on his bench next year at Shelbyville. He's already got Alexis Whittington as an assistant for him down there. But wherever she ends up coaching, it could be back up in East Tennessee. She does clinics up there in the off season that draws, hundreds of kids. I mean, she's an icon up there, and will go out of here as one of the most solid players to ever play for Rick Insell.
Shifting gears.
Yep.
2 kind of carbon copies at the Glass House last week.
Boy, almost identical scores and almost identical footprints of how they ended up. And both games, here's the upside. Middle holds both opponents to about 12 points under what they were normally scoring, holds both opponents under about 10 percentage points under what they're shooting from the field. But the downside is somewhat poor shot selection and also not taking care of the basketball. Those turned potential wins with 5 minutes to go into 8 or 9 point losses to Louisiana Tech and Sam Houston. Sam Houston had Middle had a 1 point lead, and Sam Houston went on 11-2 run at the end, and Middle had a 4-minute scoring drought at the end, and that pretty much ended the ball game. And Nick McDevitt was trying to push buttons, and you had 2 huge games out of Justin Porter, 24 and 29 last week in those 2 games. But he ended up having to play about 40 minutes because you did not have Jalen Jordan available after tweaking a knee and, trying to get physically that back to 100%, but also trying to get that his own trust in his own leg back to 100% as well. And that's probably the bigger part of it. He's been back working in practice, and hopefully he'll be ready to go Thursday night out at the Don Haskins Center against UTEP.
On CBS Sports Network.
Correct.
Nationally televised.
That is correct. And go ahead.
No, when you talk about +1, -1, the Blue Raiders are -2.
That is correct.
With those outcomes. And their margin of error is such, Chip, that they can't afford to not take care of the basketball.
That's correct. And Nick McDevitt talked about that last night, saying that where their margin of error is, you cannot have a game where you have 4 assists and 16 turnovers, because you're playing at a slower pace right now than most anybody in the league. So you cannot afford empty possessions when you're doing that. And so that's why they have gone to playing deeper onto their bench, trying to press a little more to pick up the pace and get extra possessions to try to, and especially 2 things you don't want to have. You don't want to have live ball turnovers, and you don't want to have unforced errors. And those things can kill you and put you in a hole where you have to climb out of it. And that's something that they're, you've seen it in stretches of games to where they're kind of fighting with themselves a little bit, not literally, but you know what I'm saying there, and just trying to get through that. At the same time, the last 3 games, 4 games, if you want to go in, including Murray State, we've seen some of the best. Their ball movement has gotten so much better. They're reversing it, getting it back to a second and third side, and trying to get better looks. And also along with that, Jared Coleman Jones has had 2 of his best outings along the way. And, he had a double-double against Louisiana Tech, came back with another good outing there. But what Middle needs is that 3rd and 4th guy who can give you consistently that 12-point, 6 or 7 rebound night. Elias King should be that guy, and hopefully this week he breaks free a little bit, and that starts to happen.
Meanwhile, Coleman Jones and Loof figure to get more minutes because apparently Josh Ogundele is done for the year.
It looks that way, and he ended up, they did some exploratory look in his knee before Christmas, and I think, if I'm correct, he may have had another surgery to try to correct some things, and it looks like he is probably going to be done. But those two guys, Loof and Ogundele, have made Jared a better player, and I think Loof really coming on. There were bad matchups last week for him. The interesting left both centers for Bacho for Louisiana Tech and Doumbia for Sam Houston, both previously played in the Big 12. Bacho, the kid at Louisiana Tech, actually began his career at Arizona before transferring to Texas Tech, and then ended up at Louisiana Tech. And
so he's just making his way east then, huh?
He is, and but he's very seasoned and a really smart post player, and in his ability against a young guy like Chris Loof, who's still continuing to learn, made a difference. Jared did a really nice job of getting the ball and making a decision within a half second. Once he got it, one dribble, maybe two, but get the ball straight up and get it in the basket, or is there a kick out pass available for an open look? He made those decisions quicker last week, and so you're seeing little things starting to get better, and the hope is that as the little things get better, the big things get better, and that's the next step this week on the road at UTEP.
Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, or the Blue Raider voice, coming to you live.
You like the Burv, don't you?
We do like the Burv. I mean, it's your answer to the Vought.
That's what we got. It's what we have.
Speaking of the Vought, congratulations go out to Mike Keith today, and also Teresa Walker. They were named Tennessee Sportscaster and Sports Writer of the Year by the National Media
Sports Media Association.
National Sports Media Association, NSMA.
Yeah, NASMA, and they, I will say, they had my votes in the final ballot is when they were named finalists. So congratulations to them. And I think for Teresa, this is one for the thumb. This is her fifth. And for Mike, I think, 8, 10, 12, something like that?
12.
21. 12?
Is it 12 or 21?
It said, okay, so there's a 21 out next to his name, but in the press release at the top, it said 12.
12. I think it's 12 because.
Okay.
I think
so maybe the 21 is a typo then.
Yeah. I think they got the 2 and the 1 backwards on next to his name.
I mean, as I think about it now, I think you're right, because I don't know that he's been doing it. Has he been doing it 21 years?
Yeah. See, this was Titans' 25th year, and he did not do the games the first, 2 or 3 years when Joe.
But there's been some Pete Weber's in there and some others.
yeah.
So, 12 probably sounds right.
Yep, I think that's correct. And that's still more than a couple of handfuls. So
it is. Yeah,
well deserved.
One for each thumb and then some for Mike. But congratulations to both of them. Absolutely.
Hey, Chip, one quick thing before we get out of here today. Groundhog Day luncheon coming up on February 2nd, which is Groundhog Day. The traditional menu: ham hocks, white beans, tomato salad, green onions, cornbread, chocolate cake, and ice cream, which sounds like a good snow day menu for me. $30 advanced tickets. If you happen to be a Blue Raider baseball alum, they're $25, but a table of 10 is $250, and it's always a huge crowd for that, and that'll be at the Student Union Ballroom, 11:30 a.m. on February 2nd. The day before that, on February 1st, will be the ribbon cutting for the new outdoor tennis facility there on campus right beside Murphy Center.
Big doings on campus.
I don't think we've talked to you since you guys got an offensive coordinator for the football team.
We have not.
That's correct. And there will be, obviously, there's a few more names that'll come out, but just looking, at Brody Reeder's background, obviously the last 2 years had a lot of success with what they were doing at Northern Iowa. And it appears that he falls in line with what Derek Mason has said he is looking for, that he wants to have, wants to combine a power pro style offense with that has some explosive abilities to it. And that's what Brody Reeder, it appears, brings to the table. I was able to, for the first time, meet several of those assistants last week at a meet and greet.
At City Auto?
It was over there, and absolutely a packed house in that showroom there at City Auto, which was great to see.
I wonder if City Auto sold any cars in the process.
You know what I love about Reeder, if I'm a Middle fan? The guy is coached in every part of the country. Auburn, Utah State, North Texas, Eastern Washington, Oklahoma State, Wisconsin, Eastern Illinois, and Northern Iowa. The dude can recruit anywhere because he's coached everywhere.
Yeah, he's got connections all over the place, and so it'll. I'm really interested to meet him, and there's a couple of guys who have not been announced just yet, finishing up some HR things that will be announced here shortly, but. That it's coming together. They've I don't know if you saw the video last Friday on a bad weather day that the new refueling station that Coach Mason, his assistants, the strength staff, and the equipment staff found they wanted to upgrade an area, so they just all got in, went to Home Depot or somewhere, got paint, had some leftover flooring, and all went to work and put that together before the players who were scheduled to report today for class. And by the way, today was also supposed to be the first day of baseball workouts.
Supposed to be.
But fortunately, with that, Middle has a really nice indoor baseball facility where some of that can start to take place.
Did classes start today though, Chip?
No, they did not. And
no word on when they will, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Let me look here real quick.
And students rejoiced everywhere.
Yeah,
that's correct. I was looking to see if university will be closed Wednesday due to inclement weather. Only essential personnel report. So I'm supposed to report to get on a bus tomorrow to go to the airport, and let's all keep our fingers crossed.
Are you essential though?
But that's debatable.
He's the Burv. Of course he's essential.
And I keep an eye on FlightAware and our flight that is scheduled to leave tomorrow about 1:30. That same flight from Nashville to Dallas yesterday and today did not make it. So hopefully right now it's still scheduled. It's scheduled to be on time to leave Nashville. So hopefully the radiant heat that's coming from the sunshine and the de-icing of all of that on the ground, that our flight will get out on time and no kinks in the travel plans tomorrow.
No kinks. Kinkless.
We will cross our fingers just for you.
Appreciate that.
Chip Walters, the Burv, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today. Chip, as always, we appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right. Thank you, boys. Y'all have a good week and enjoy the sledding out there.
I have
hard
so
pass.
far. So
see you.
All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, rapid fire reaction and Top 5 Tuesday right after this. Stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you. No matter what's happening in the world, or at your house.
Jones and Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, and we've got just we got to get through this as quickly as possible. But first, before we get into the NFL, Mo, first rapid fire reaction: Scottie Pippen Jr. is a Memphis Grizzly.
Okay, I guess that certainly can't hurt when you're missing Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark, and Steven Adams. I mean, you might want Scottie Pippen, not Scottie Pippen Jr. I'm not sure, but you got to start somewhere.
After last night, man, our boy Gigi went off on the, on the Golden State Warriors, and so, man, this is an interesting situation.
It feels like, from the Warriors' standpoint, the Warriors were their own biggest enemy last night. Memphis got to the line 40 times, hit 23s, and turned the ball over a lot.
I think did you miss Jake LaRavia in that?
Was
I don't know if you did.
Either? No,
he's
Jake LaRavia.
He's out with a left ankle sprain. So yeah, everybody.
It
at
certainly
this point,
seems like
play the hustle.
Yeah, they seem to have more people unavailable than they have available, but yet they won 116-109. So I'm sorry, 107, and the Warriors are they are a little torn up right now. So
Pippen Jr. appeared in 17 games for the South Bay Lakers in the 2023-24 G League Showcase and averaged 25 and 6. 20 points, 5.2 rebounds, 5.9 assists will give him 6 in 30 minutes, obviously out of Vanderbilt. And so, yeah, there you go. Number 2, NFL playoffs last night. The officiating in the National Football League is a problem. And no one knows that better today than the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was atrocious for about 7 minutes of gameplay in the into the fourth quarter. And obviously it's not why the Steelers lost the game. They just weren't they weren't prepared to play that game in Buffalo. But my goodness, I mean, you can't just give Buffalo 15 yards on BS penalties for hitting Josh Allen when he essentially faked a slide earlier and then kept going for a 52-yard touchdown run. You can't give him 5 free yards on a defensive holding that was as questionable a call as I've ever seen in the National Football League. You just got we got a problem. And the Steelers were unfortunately the Bills were the beneficiaries of it last night.
You know, I didn't see the touchdown run. I did see the penalty that was called on Miles Jack, and it felt like to me that he was in the process of making a tackle before Josh Allen went down. And you know, I'd be interested to see what other quarterbacks in the league do or don't get the benefit of that call in that circumstance. And I think at some point you got to realize Josh Allen is 6'5", 240. I mean, the broadcast crew made you aware of that on more than one occasion during the course of the game. You got to officiate that guy a little differently than you do some of these other quarterbacks in this league.
Or at least officiate him, you know, like they did Cam Newton. Which, and here's the thing, Miles Jack never touched Josh Allen's head.
Nope.
Not never.
So
it's frustrating.
You do kind of get an impression, and again, I did not see all of the game. I'm not real as familiar with some of the calls that drew your ire, but I think the league is a little bit desirous of Buffalo to be successful, which may have something to do with some of that.
Yep.
So
all
right.
Anyway.
Next. Yep.
Eagles. They finish off the awful NFC East run. Got to give it up to JK for rolling with Baker. Baker Mayfield joins some elite company after last night, Mo. He joins Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, and one other. I can't remember who else it was, to have won a playoff game with 2 different franchises.
Oh, wow.
Very short list, like 5 or 6 names. Baker Mayfield's on the list.
Okay.
And do we feel like
maybe
do we feel like this last few weeks leading into 2024, this may be the beginning of the end for a bunch of folks in the Eagles organization? Obviously, Jason Kelsey announced his retirement post-game last night. That's been all over the news. Goddard and Jalen Hurts had words. Well, Goddard had words. Jalen took them.
Yeah.
And AJ Brown has deleted everything off his Instagram that even references the Eagles. This just feels like an organization in disarray.
Yeah, and it might cost Nick Sirianni his job.
Well, look, not everybody can be Phil Jackson. That's just the facts. Not everybody can deal with the egos that come with great professional athletes on one team. It just is what it is. There are some folks who can, like Mike Vrabel. I'm just saying.
Yeah. How long has he been there?
Sirianni?
Yeah. This is his 3rd year?
I want to say this is his 3rd year. Yeah, they fired dude after 21, Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
So 22, 23. This may be his. Maybe it was no. I'm sorry. They fired Peterson after 20, after the COVID year. Yeah. So he was there in 21, 22, and 23 because they went to the Super Bowl last year, which in his 2nd year.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, watch out. Gabe Kapler hired as the Marlins assistant general manager. It's an interesting hire.
That is an interesting hire.
It's an interesting place for Gabe Kapler to end up, not on the field.
Not on the field, and with Skip Schumacher going into his second season and having been, in some corners of the baseball world, NL Manager of the Year, there doesn't seem to be a path back to the field. I mean, it's not like he's going in there looking over somebody's shoulder. So maybe he's
does Schumacher feel like he is?
Again, he won some Manager of the Year awards this past offseason. I'd hope he's not that insecure.
Marlins hope that as well. All right. That's some rapid fire reaction for you. Let's get into Top 5 Tuesday, presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness, Dallas Steel, at Steel Athletes on Instagram, steelathletes.com, STEEL Athletes. Today, we draft the top 5 transfers, first-year transfers in college football in 2023. So, with that, Justin says he's going to
respectfully pass.
Yeah, he's going to respectfully bow out for today. So let's get into it. Mo, I'll go ahead and let you go first. Your number 1 most impactful college football transfer in 2023.
Keon Coleman. Receiver transfer from Michigan State.
Wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver out of Florida State. All right. I think this is really interesting considering the news that just came out about 30 minutes ago. TJ Finley is back in the transfer portal, so he's available for this same top 5 next year potentially. But what he did at Texas State is just unreal. So yeah. TJ Finley.
So TJ Finley's going to be one of those four school guys.
Yep.
Because he went from LSU to Auburn to Texas State to
wherever he ends up.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I like that. I think another year with GJ Kinney really improves his NFL stock. So
I would think so too. But Robbie Ashford's headed to South Carolina. So whatever.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Number 2, probably could have been a number 1. Sam Hartman.
Okay. Obviously a big time transfer in the offseason.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Haynes King. I think what he did at Georgia Tech, man,
getting them to a bowl or helping them to a bowl. Yeah.
Really darn impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So give me Haynes King.
Okay. I don't think we can do this list without this guy, Travis Hunter.
Yeah, he certainly made a massive impact on Colorado, particularly early, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Everything at Colorado was early, but
yeah. Give me the number 1 running back from the national champion runner-up, Dylan Johnson.
Okay. All right. This guy was a running back as well from here in our backyard, Kentucky's Ray Davis.
It's a good pick. I'm going to go off the board here.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville State running back Malik Jackson ran for 912 yards and 7 touchdowns to lead Jacksonville State in rushing this year.
Okay. I'm going to go back to Boulder with the quarterback, Shadur Sanders. Pretty impactful.
Yeah, about as impactful as you could hope for. My final pick, number 5, I'm going to go. I think I got to go Blake Watson out of Memphis. I think, just the season that they had, I think he was a big part of it. And so give me Blake Watson, Memphis running back.
Yeah, it kind of solidified that running game for them this year.
I think he did, in fact. And so you got to give him some props there. So well done. All right, there you go. That is our Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Dallas Steele at Steele Athletes at STEELathletes.com. And yeah, could have had DJ Uiagalele was out there. I mean, plenty of solid options. And I think there's going to be even more next year.
It's going to continue clearly. I mean, this will be something that we'll be able to do, ad nauseum.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Well, we'll come back with us. Come back with us tomorrow here on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back to the Lee Company studios from our humble abodes.
Oh, hey, hold up a minute.
What's up?
So tomorrow, as we typically do on Wednesdays, we will have Joe Sullivan talking Nashville area basketball at the collegiate level. We will also have, Chris, we've been talking a little bit about the Steelers today. We will have Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Steelers beat writer Christopher Carter.
Chris Carter?
All he does is catch touchdowns. Yeah.
Christopher Carter joining us. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Tomlin and that situation. He informed the team today he intends to coach in 2024. We'll see how that plays out. Again, join us on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint at 2:00 tomorrow, each and every day here on Main Street Media Television. Until the next time, we will see you, of course, out and about covering Preps to Pros right here. See you then.